I am so grateful that you are with us. I pray that you have had an amazing week. That you have felt the hand of God on your life, in your storms, yes, and carrying you through.
Good evening, New Dawn Restoration Center. We are back here, Saints of God, for another Bible study revamp, and we are ready to have a great time in the Lord. Y'all, we got Bishop up here on the stage. How you feeling, Bishop?
I'm doing well, son. Good to be here. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I am doing very well.
Good.
I'm so honored to be on the stage and sharing in the Word and listening to your nuggets of wisdom. And I know the Word that we have tonight is going to be transformative. And it's going to stir us up. So I can't wait to get into the Word.
My Lord.
Before we get into the Word, Saints, I want to go over some preliminaries. Just want to remind you to be faithful in your giving. You all have been wonderful and diligent in your giving, and asking that you would continue to be faithful.
Yes.
We know that you take care of God's house. He'll take care of your house.
That's right.
To our visitors who are joining us right now, we want to say welcome to our Bible study revamped experience.
Welcome.
It is our endeavor, Saints of God, to to go back over the word that was preached on Sunday, and it was a powerful word, Mother. It was a powerful word.
Praise
and
God.
so we're going to expose it tonight. We don't
Yes.
expound on it. We
That's
expose
right.
it on Sunday. So
That's
we'll
right.
expound
We'll
on
expound
it tonight.
on it tonight.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Well, saints of God, it is time for the Word of God. Thank you once again for joining us. Do us a favor, hit the share button. Again, this is an interactive session where we get to talk about the Word of God and have a great discussion. And we know that it's going to bless so many people. And so we want you to do us that favor. Click that share button, share it with all of your friends, and let them get a piece of this joy that we're experiencing on tonight.
Amen. Amen.
All right, saints. Well, without further ado, we're going to jump right in. Bishop, is that all right? Can we
That's
jump right in?
wonderful. Let's do it.
All right, now we're talking about Bishop's new sermon series. It's called Unlikely Heroes.
Unlikely Heroes.
Oh, man. Bishop talked to us about Enoch. Well, walking with God. She talked to us. What was
Salome.
it? Salome.
The
demanding mother. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We've been gleaning from God's goodness with these words. I tell you, I don't know. I make this joke often. I don't know where Mother has been to be inspired. See, I feel like I got to go travel somewhere to be that inspired. But Mother just be kicking them out, and they be so inspiring.
Praise God.
I'm just inspired by the Word of God.
I'm
Mother.
trying to walk with God.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started, Mother. Okay.
All right.
Unlikely heroes
Yes.
are often misrepresented.
Uh-huh.
Can you discuss the deliberate intent to discredit the unlikely?
The deliberate intent to discredit the unlikely. Yes, unlikely heroes are often misrepresented. Saints know this, and I'm going to get into some detail about this, but know this. God makes heroes out of unlikely people, right? So this is the work of God in the first place. And so everybody ain't happy about what God is doing in your life.
Come on now.
And everybody's not happy when God uses you, an unlikely person,
Oh, Mother.
to be thrust to the forefront,
Wow.
for glory to His name.
Oh, my.
He doesn't like that, and so they began to come out of the woodwork with scrutiny. We're living in it right now, saints of God. We're living in it right now. Now, I told you on Sunday about how they scrutinized Mary Magdalene and called her a prostitute and insinuated that she had an affair with Jesus and everything. All right? Because they did not like the fact. This woman loved God. She loved God. She served the Lord, and God was about to use her. And the enemy has a glimpse of that.
Yeah.
And so the scrutiny, here it comes. It's like it goes with the territory. And even in our culture today, how many people have been scrutinized? How many unlikely heroes are in the news daily?
Wow.
And they're being scrutinized in their innocence, right? Breonna Taylor, scrutinized in her innocence.
Oh, my goodness.
George Floyd, scrutinized in his innocence. Ahmaud Arbery, scrutinized in his innocence. So they want to dig up and they want to talk about this and they want to talk about that. And they want to act like the blame has to be shifted to the victim.
Yeah.
And that's just not fair. Y'all beware of that. When God is trying to use you, when God's going to use your name, use your face, and bless all of them, and may they rest in peace. But God is using those three young people mightily in this hour. And the enemy is not happy. Is not happy at all. So scrutiny has befallen them.
You said righteousness always invites scrutiny.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Right. 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 Saints of God, if you choose to live and walk for God, like we talked about with Enoch and all of those, and in this case, Mary Magdalene, who was a devout, if ever there was a devout. She was a devout servant of the Lord. And so righteousness, doing right, doing the right things, always invite scrutiny. That's the sad part, because we live in a society that looks for wrong and has to question right.
Oh, my goodness. Looks for wrong.
And has to question right.
Question right.
Yeah, they have to question it.
Oh.
And so if they don't find any fault, they create fault. Because our culture does not look for people to be pure. Isn't that sad? People expect you to lie. People expect you to use them. Isn't that sad? Yeah. That's why, saints of God, let me say to all of you, the church of God is the place where we've got to turn that kind of outlook around. People have got to learn how to trust again. Yeah. And they've got to learn that love is pure and can be real. And such was the case with Mary Magdalene. But she was determined. She didn't even care. All of that scolding and all that mockery, she kept doing what she was called to do. Yes.
That's powerful.
Yes.
You can't let your good be ill spoken of.
That's right.
You know, so even though all of us have a past, you know, we got to
All of
live.
us.
We got to make sure we're living right.
All
you know,
of us.
because
That's
we
right.
know what happens when these
That's right.
situations occur.
That's right.
They gonna put all our stuff on display, and they gonna dig up the dark stuff.
That's right.
And so that stuff always sort of seemingly trumps all of the good stuff.
Absolutely.
But God calls the unlikely heroes. He qualifies the unlikely
Yes, he
heroes.
does. Yes, he does. Because he doesn't. The thing about God is so awesome, and it's just the opposite of these people who do that kind of thing. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
God does not call the qualified. So it was okay that even if she was a prostitute, so what? She's in great company. That's what God wants to do. Transform so that others might see how awesome he is. Woo. And that his glory can be realized in the life of anybody. And that's what he wants the world to see. Yes. He qualified.
That's encouraging. My latter shall be greater.
Then that's right.
My
Than your
goodness.
former. That's right. That's good.
You said unlikely heroes are always first called into relationship with Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Why is this the first step?
It is the first step because, again, he makes you the hero, right? So God has to have control of you to make you. So he brings you into relationship with him, and he forms you and shapes you into what he has planned for you. And so the relationship, this is why when many people ask me about callings and about what am I called to do? Yeah. You're called to be in relationship with Jesus Christ. That's what you're called to do. First. Right there. End of it. And once you get in right relationship with him, he shapes, makes, and molds you into what he wants your purposes to be. Yeah. So our number one calling is to be in right relationship with him. Yeah. So that he can use us. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's very great and interesting that you say that, because oftentimes when we think about purpose, we're thinking about titles.
Assignment and
assignments.
Title. Yes.
And what do we
They're
do?
totally different.
Yeah.
They're totally different. Because assignments changes, but your calling doesn't. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But if you're not in relationship, you miss everything.
You miss all of it. That's right.
You miscalculate everything.
That's right.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. You also said this, Mother. Deliverance from Satan's dominion into the hands of God should mean something. What were you thinking, Mother? This
is what I was thinking. This is what I was thinking. Scripture says that we have been snatched from the hand of the enemy, right? So we have been delivered out of the dominion and control of Satan. It ought to mean something. And the interesting thing about the grip of Satan is we don't realize how tight it was until we're free from it. Once that reality hits, that I'm no longer under the control of that kind of darkness, it ought to mean something, as was the case with Mary Magdalene. Wild horses could not make her leave Jesus. She was so enamored by the fact that he delivered her. And if you remember the story, he was delivering all kinds of ones, but he made it's clear in the scripture, it says Jesus cast out the demons out of her. Yeah. So he has this evangelistic posse, so you really don't know which one laid hands and which one did this and which one. It is specified that Jesus cast the demons out of her. He did it himself for her. Yeah. And she was forever indebted to him as a result of it. I'm that way. When I think about what he delivered me from, nobody could make me not serve the Lord. Nobody could make me not sacrifice for the Lord. Nobody could make me turn around and go another way. Nobody could make me rebuke the church. Nobody could make me, you're not going to make me do that because he's done too much for me. Yeah.
You said something, I wrote it down. You said something on Sunday. You said your past cannot stop your future.
It can't.
And so that stood out to me because, as I mentioned before, and as we all know, we all have a past. But thinking about Mary Magdalene's deliverance,
yes,
you know, when you have relationship with somebody who does something like that for you, you committed for life.
Committed for life.
You are committed.
That's right. Which is why people who have no history with the Lord are some of your best church members. Folk that don't have no history with the church, they're some of your best church members. Because they don't know, they don't have a frame to even equate this to.
Yeah.
And they have this phenomenal encounter with God.
Yeah.
And their lives are changed. And that's all they know is he changed my life.
Yeah.
They don't know church protocol. They don't know church dogma. They don't care about it. All they know is that he changed their life, and they're forever loyal to him. And Mary Magdalene had to be the same way. If she was indeed a prostitute, she wasn't in the church. If she was indeed having relationships with folk, as was insinuated, she wasn't in the church.
Yeah.
And so she bumps into Jesus, has this encounter. I'm not letting this man go nowhere out of my life. I'm sticking with him all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Mother, we owe a debt. This is so intriguing to me to hear her story told in this way, because you said a lot of things that is insinuated, and a lot of things that people who are not rooted in the word get tripped up by. And so they get tripped up by all of these thoughts and these things about her life. But you know, I think it's just super important to know that again, that point you made, your past cannot stop your future.
That's right.
So many people focus on that shadow.
Yes.
You know, that and though they may be in a I won't say a posture of deliverance, but though some people attend church and they hear the word of God, and we know the word of God can set you free, some people still walk around with that dark cloud over them because they can't get past their past.
Exactly.
And so that's it's this story just kind of just puts me in that mindset of the kind of freedom that you can have, and what that kind of freedom, that kind of deliverance sort of spurns you to commitment. That just kind of just resonates with me.
Absolutely, it does. And when you think about it, most people, this is why it's so important to teach doctrine. Because what that is shame and guilt. So shame and guilt is a tool of the enemy.
Oh, that's good.
So
That's
if I
good.
can keep you feeling shameful about your past, if I can keep you feeling embarrassed by your past, then I got
good.
you where I want you.
That's good.
But if you learn the doctrine of grace, it's gonna break you free.
Yeah.
And so I think it was Hercules. I think that was the movie. I can't. It might be. It was Denzel Washington a few years ago. Yes, it was Denzel a few years ago when he was in prison, and he said, "Hatred brought me in here, but love finna bust me out."
Oh my goodness.
Wow. So that's the same mentality. People have the hatred of the evil one, the deceptive tactics. Put them in these bonds of bondage and shame and guilt.
Yeah.
But when they run into real love and the grace of Jesus Christ, it busts them right out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You said something. I was trying to remember what you said in terms of being so free that you can tell your story. I can't think of it, Mother, but I know that the enemy dangles that shame in front of us that keeps us.
Yes.
But you said you've been delivered when you can
you can tell your story.
When you can tell your story.
You know you've been delivered when you can tell your story. You ain't got no shame. There's nothing attached to it that embarrasses you at all. You realize completely that you went through what you had to go through to help somebody else. And how many need to be helped by virtue of what had us in bondage? Too many for us to be shamed about it. And that's another reason the enemy doesn't want you to break free, because he knows that there's power in you. Now, because what he's done for one, he'll do it for another. Yeah.
You said, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but you also said he gives you power. He gives you power. He gives you power to preach the message that he gives you.
Yes.
So that shame dissipates when you are in relationship with him to receive power to tell your message, or
Absolutely.
to tell your story. So.
And that power has attached to it a transfer.
Yeah.
And so you speaking into the life of somebody
that's good.
who is in bondage from what you yourself were delivered from.
Yeah.
Oh no, I got power over that demon. I understand where you are, and I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah.
And so that's why it is so important for us to tell our story. It is so. That's why the word says we're overcome. By the word of the testimony. So for those people that keep silent about it, don't want nobody to know nothing, don't want nobody to think that they've been all like that all their life. No, it's because you ain't delivered.
Yeah.
You might not. And let me say this. Let me say this. Abstentia does not mean deliverance.
Okay. Okay.
So just because I don't do a thing, don't mean I'm not delivered from it.
Now help us with that, Mother.
Okay.
Abstentia. What is that?
Absence from the sin.
Okay.
So if you absent from it, you've not done this in 6 months. That does not mean you're delivered from it.
Ooh, Mother, you stepping
That
on
does
toes.
not mean you're delivered from. I haven't done that. I don't do that anymore. I haven't done it. Well, do you have propensity to do it? Yeah. Why come you can't talk about it? Why come you can't help somebody else out of it? Because you still are attached in some ways, though subtle they may be.
My.
True deliverance makes you know there ain't no turning back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't go back to the way I used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. We owe a debt of gratitude to Jesus for delivering us and setting us free.
We do.
In today's culture, Mother, how does that look?
We owe a debt of gratitude. Now, she had a grateful heart, Mary Magdalene. And of course, as we said in the sermon Sunday, she served him. She served the evangelistic team. She gave out of her abundance. She gave out of what she had. She made sure, she and some of the others made certain that their needs were met as they ministered on the road. How does that look today? When you have a you have a grateful heart for what God has done in your life, you hear it in your voice. You see it in your actions.
You do.
You know, you extend the same grace that was given to you.
Yeah, that's good.
So people that don't extend grace, as far as I'm concerned, they've never encountered it. You know, don't nobody leave us right now, but this is real. Once you have experienced grace for your own life, you will quickly dispense grace to another. Quickly. That's one of the ways that's a red flag. A person who has no grace, I don't believe has had an experience with God. And again, we talked about this Mary Magdalene. You know, you can be in church all of your life and still not love God, and still not walk with him, and still not obey him, and still not do all of those things. She did all of them. And Enoch did all of them, right? And so the manifestations in their life of serving, of standing and not being compromised, all of those are manifestations of a life that's gratitude for grace. So that experiences gratitude, displays gratitude for grace. So I have a love for Jesus Christ. I love him too much to wrong him. I love him too much to shame him. Because I was shamed. Remember? But grace released me from it. So why would I don't even know shame no more. I don't want to know it no more. Wow. It's way gone. I don't want to know it anymore. And so now I would be contradictory. I would contradict my faith if I'm gonna not dispense grace, if I'm gonna be evil to people, if I'm gonna be, all of that, all of what Jesus did not do to me. So that's how it's seen. Wow. And it's also seen in your level of servanthood. Will I serve him when nobody sees? Woo. There's a lot of people that only serve because they want accolades. That's sad. Not in our church. I ain't talking about our church. But a lot of people serve looking for pats on the back and looking for compliments and that sort of thing. Attaboys. Would you do it if nobody sees you? Will you do it? What do you do in the privacy of your own home? Do you still serve? Are you still the same person? Are you consistent across the board, which is integrity? Are you, will you walk in integrity? Will you walk in integrity when nobody's looking? All of those are ways to manifest. So you see, and I don't mean no harm with nobody, but it is what it is. So you can't shout on Sunday and be in the club and post it like all is well. On Monday, that's a contradiction. Somebody's life is getting ready to be jacked up because now they're confused.
My God.
So it's manifested in a consistent walk with God. That's in today's culture where we're pulled left and right and with all kinds of everything. You've got to know who you know. And when you know who you know, there's nothing that the world can do to you. Because he said you cannot love God and mammon at the same time. We've preached that before. You can't have one foot in the world and the other one in the church. That's a duality that's not going to get you anywhere. That's double-mindedness.
Double-mindedness.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, and when you know your God, we talked about this earlier,
Uh-huh.
you allow yourself to be kept
You
by
allow
God.
yourself to be kept by God. Now, y'all, this is good. You need to type this in the comment section. When you know your God,
Come on.
you allow yourself to be kept
Yes.
by your God.
My
I
God.
don't care what you're going through. You want to please God.
Yeah.
You want to please Him.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to swing on somebody because ain't nobody looking.
Yeah.
I want to be kept by God. I know my God. The Bible puts it like this. Those who know their God, He does great exploits.
Yeah. Yeah.
So God can use you even in the most difficult of situations,
Yeah.
even when the world is not watching. He looks at us. He wants to see how we're going to behave.
Yeah.
And when you love God, you allow yourself to be kept by God. Your
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
your body,
Yeah.
and your soul. Shall I say that again? When you love your God, you allow yourself to be kept by your God.
My God.
Mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so good. That is so good.
Yep.
Mary's going and giving was motivated by her transformation. That's powerful.
Yes.
What does a life of active service suggest, and what does a lack of service suggest?
A life of active service. There used to be a young man used to sing with us years ago, and one song comes to mind, and when he would sing it would just rip the church apart. How much do I owe him? And folk would be crying and carrying on, but then it's time to clean the church after church.
My.
And them and their tears are gone. Okay, that's what it looks like. That's what it does.
Oh, my goodness.
So when you really know that you owe a debt of gratitude to the Lord, you'll serve. You'll do anything. You know, you want to do. It's not an issue. It's not an issue at all. You don't have a problem making sacrifices. You don't have a problem putting others' needs before your own. You don't have a problem saying, you know what? I can't. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I got something I've got to do at the church.
Yeah.
You don't have a problem saying that, or
Yeah.
something I've got to do for the Lord. It may not even be in the church, but whatever it is, you quickly respond to what God calls you to do, because everything. A lot of people look at, okay, will you do this or will you do that as interruptions and intrusions, right?
Yep.
Now, as if I recall correctly, if you look through the Gospels, Jesus is seen all the time going somewhere and stopping to do something else. So I would suggest to us, saints of God, many things are not in your way, they're on your way.
On your way, my Lord.
God wants to see how, and we said, oh, that's just getting on my nerve. That's just, no, I can't do it. No, many things are
that's
not
good.
in your way.
That's
they're
good.
on your way.
That's good.
God is trying to grow you up. How well can you divert? How well can you pivot?
Yeah.
How well can you pause
Yeah.
for the cause?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful. That's so powerful, because it's easy to get so busy, and then someone's request
Yes.
Either offends you or
unnerves you.
Frustrates you.
Yes.
But it's on the way.
It's on the way.
It is.
It's on your way. He that wants to be great among them must first be servant.
My goodness.
So I don't care who you are. My grandmother used to put it like this: don't get too big for your britches. That's
Yeah.
what they used to tell us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't care who you are. You're yet a servant all the time. So when we put servanthood on hold, that's a problem for God.
Yep. Jesus said, "I didn't come to be served,
But to serve and to give my life a ransom.
ransom. Come on
Ransom means a price paid. There's a cost to this. That's right.
Yeah.
There's a cost to
Oh,
this.
my goodness.
And it might cost you your dinner date. It might cost you your movie date.
Yeah.
It might cost you that weekend away. It might cost you something, but there is a cost to this. And it's just the way that it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good litmus test, Mother, to see how eager you are to serve.
That's good. How eager. That's a good word.
I got to ask myself, who have I served today?
Right.
And how have I served Christ today?
That's good.
Yeah.
It ought to be something that and that's good. Saints of God, let's do that as a homework assignment collectively, all of us. Each day, at the end of the day, who did I serve today, and how eager was I in my service?
That's good.
Did I do it reluctantly? Did I do it with hesitance? Because the Bible says God loves a cheerful giver, so don't give nothing, not even your servant, your time. That's not just money. He wants a cheerful giver, right? So God loves was I cheerful in my giving and in my serving?
I see him. I see, and I know the scripture doesn't relate, but I know that we say this. He gives seed to the sower, and we
Yes.
always think money,
Right.
But he could give seeds of service.
Absolutely.
God
Energy
today.
of service.
Yeah.
Time for service,
Yeah,
right? He's a
yeah.
redeemer of the time.
Yeah.
So you never know. You stop to do that thing
Yeah.
that you thought interrupted you. And when you get back to where your plans were, he's already completed them for you.
Yeah, yeah.
It happens to me all the time.
Wow.
And I'm learning how to say, this is not an interruption. God is in control of my life.
Yeah.
It would never have come to me
Yeah.
if he didn't want me to do it.
Yeah.
He would have blocked it. So I go, okay, so you need me to do it? Yes, Lord. Yeah, okay, yes, I do. Okay, so then I get back to some sermon that I'm working on or something I'm trying to do. And by the time I get back to it, there's a flow like nobody's business,
Yeah.
and I just record him.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
Wow.
I don't have to write it. I
Wow.
record him. That's
Wow.
good.
Wow.
So I just record him, and I'm done.
Yeah.
So
That's good. That's very
he's a
good.
redeemer of the time. He gives seed to the sower.
Yes, God. That's powerful. Mary demonstrated presence in suffering.
Wow.
No one could doubt her love for Jesus. So how do we as a community of faith demonstrate presence in suffering, and what does that look like?
Most people are afraid of suffering.
Yes, mother.
And so when all is going well, you will have crowds. But let times get tough. When times get tough,
Oh my goodness.
most people take flight.
Yeah.
Mary Magdalene was standing there at the cross. Now, she's already been scrutinized. She's been talked about, people rolling their eyes at her, wonder why come she's serving, and all of that. Those same ones we talked about last week asking for the seats on the left and the right, they are not at the cross. They are not there.
Oh, mother.
I want a place of
Wait
honor,
a
but I
minute
don't
now.
want a place of suffering.
They didn't show up at
No.
the cross, mother?
No.
Oh, my
They wasn't there.
goodness.
And no, their boys wasn't there neither. Their
Oh.
boys ran too. One denied him, one betrayed him, the other
On
one
the run.
scattered.
On the run. My
They
God.
scattered. So the Bible tells us that she was there with Mary's mother, with Jesus' mother and his sister, right? But they're gone. The very ones that asked for the seats are gone. And so suffering, this presence in suffering, that's why he says to us, Paul says, oh, that I might know him. Not only in the power of the resurrection, but in the fellowship. Watch this, the koinonia, the joining in of, the sharing of suffering.
Yeah.
So not many people can share your suffering.
Yeah.
That was good, Bishop. Not many people can share your suffering. And saints of God, when you're going through, you need somebody to help share your suffering. Some people don't even know how to minister or to be around a person who is hurting.
Yeah.
But she stayed right there.
Wow.
Her presence in suffering is amazing. So when you have people, and even if you don't know what to say, that's fine. Let me retract and make sure you understand that.
Yep.
You don't always need a word to say something.
Yep. Presence.
But presence, the ministry of presence
Yes, God.
is important.
Yeah.
And that's what she did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
And it became a blessing to her.
I think you just set a lot of people free. Because
Praise
me
God.
personally, I know that I used to be uncomfortable around hurting people because I felt like I had nothing to say or nothing to give.
I think we've all been
But
there.
what I realized is exactly what you just said. It's just the presence of knowing that somebody's there.
That's
and
right.
That their presence says
That's
that I
right.
care.
That's right.
That makes it very powerful.
And the good thing about Mary had already demonstrated her love for Jesus. Right? So she ain't trying to be there to prove nothing. She's already demonstrated, I love him. And so her presence is not obtrusive.
Yeah.
It's not strange,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's some people that want to show up because they want others to see them.
Yep.
But their presence is strange
Yep.
because there was no relationship prior to the suffering. That was so good. Yeah.
I'm still stuck on the part where the guys who was with him the longest
They were
wasn't at the
gone.
cross.
No, they were all over the place behind trees and everything. They were not there.
My goodness.
It's just a fact. They weren't there.
Presence in suffering. Wow.
That's right.
Yeah, and many of us are afraid of suffering because we we don't have the capacity. I don't
Right.
think we've dug our wells deep enough for the Lord to fill us, to give us that capacity to suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of us just
Yes.
have a lot of us have been shallow in our faith.
Yes.
And we're not solid in our relationship. And so when it comes to suffering, we lose everything.
That's right.
We lose. You talked about this, I think, last week. We lose the will to come to church.
Yes.
We lose the will.
Yeah,
we
to
lose
fellowship.
The
We lose
fellowship.
everything.
We lose all of that
Yes.
because of calamity or because of suffering. So
And you said it. You have to dig that well deep enough for him to fill it
Yeah.
with the capacity to suffer. Because we're going to suffer. And it's a part of this journey. And so, I think I taught a few years ago developing a theology for suffering.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
know, that it's the sovereignty of God.
Yep.
There's certain things that well needs to hold, so when suffering
Come on,
comes,
mother.
you
Come
can
on now.
survive.
Come on
but
now.
if the well is run dry, Lord have mercy, what you gonna do? The well has got to be filled. And so it's in the good days that we allow God to fill us
Yeah.
and fill us and fill us, because trouble is coming. In this world you will have trouble, but
Yep.
take heart.
Yep.
I've overcome it.
I have overcome.
That's
it,
right.
My God. And after you have suffered a while.
After that ye have suffered for a little while, right? Because
Yeah.
his present suffering
Yeah.
has no comparison to the glory that it's going to bring him. That's right.
My
But we
God.
have no well to bear it, so we never get the glory out of it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Spring up, oh well.
Bring up, oh well,
Down in my
down
soul.
in my soul. That's right. That's right.
My goodness.
That's right.
Okay. Saying that you love the Lord is not proving that you love the Lord. How do we prove that we love the Lord?
I believe we prove that we love the Lord by the way that we live. If I love the Lord, I live for the Lord. The Bible says, if you love me,
Keep-
obey my commandments.
Keep my commandments. Yep.
Keep my commandments. I ain't about to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
We know where
All
you
right. We know where you're at. We know exactly
Bullseye. We
where
see.
you're at. Because you do know every time you open your mouth, you put Christ on display.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so all of those kinds of comments and
Oh,
all
my
those kinds of, I didn't sign up for
Oh,
that and
my
all that kind
goodness.
of stuff. You're just saying to us,
Yeah.
you're expressing your immaturity in God and your lack of faith in the Lord. That's all you're doing. So if you love me, makes it very plain, keep my commandments.
Yeah. Wow.
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Turn the other cheek. Uh-huh. All of that. Uh-huh. That part,
Turn the other cheek.
it proves that we love him. We don't turn the other cheek because it's our doing. We turn the other cheek because he said so. And that settles it.
And do we? So the question is, do we trust His word?
Do we trust his word? And the good news is once we turn that cheek a few times, we recognize that the blow wasn't even as hard as you were going to get it anyway. And the blessing was much better than the blow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The blessing over the blow.
The
Come on now.
blessing over the blow. That's right.
Oh my goodness. Jeez Louise. God is good. I'm learning so much with these unlikely heroes, because I've always had an affinity for folks who were sort of looked
The
at as the
underdog.
underdogs, and I've always I'll be honest, I always felt like I was an underdog. But the more that I learn about God and His Word, I take hold to His Word, and when He says the first shall be last and the last shall be first, I take comfort in that.
That's right.
Because
That's right.
I might feel like I'm at the back of the line, but in a soon coming day, I'm going to be in the front.
That's what he
He's going
says.
to put me back in my position.
That's exactly right.
And so that unlikely heroes is really blessing my life.
And he specializes in placement.
See, that right there, saints. That right there. He specializes in placement.
He does. He specializes. Nobody could situate you like God. Nobody. God does it. God places you exactly where he needs you. It's like all of us are those little bitty pieces to this 50 million piece puzzle. And we can't figure out where these pieces go. He places us so that it all fits and works together. We are jointly fit because he does the placing.
All things work together.
All of them. All of them.
He specializes in placement. Y'all, I think we should type that in the comments.
Yes.
Somebody need to see that.
He does.
He specializes in
And so
placement.
you don't have to fight for your way. No, you don't. That's
Or
the
your
world's
position.
way. Or your position. You don't have to fight for that. You do not have to fight for that because title doesn't give you authority. Anyway. So when God is ready to place you, he graces you with the authority that's commensurate with the placement. Yeah. And you wake up, how in the world did I get here? You don't know because he just did it. Yeah. He just did it.
And so that's why it's important to have that grace encounter, because
Yes.
he gonna grace you for where he's taking you.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
And he gonna keep you with his grace. Right. So you don't have to fall from grace. That's right. That's right.
You said this, Mother. You said some things are not taken, they are removed. Can you just drop that off for us? Break that down for us.
Mary was very concerned when she arrived at the tomb and Jesus was not there. And so her first recourse was, oh my God, they took him. Somebody's taken the Christ away. And the scripture even says, she asked anybody, just tell me where you laid him. Just tell me where he is. So when I said some things that are not taken but removed, Christ was removed.
Yeah.
Him laying there
Yeah.
was just on loan.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was removed so he could go on and do the rest of what he was supposed to do, make these appearances and then ascend to his Father. So he was removed. He was not taken. Nobody took him. There was no evidence of a struggle. Nobody took him. In fact, the folded napkin was there. Nobody took him. The folded napkin is indicative
Yep.
of the fact that I'll be back.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was no struggle. Nobody took him. He was removed. In our lives, there are some things that you may deem as a struggle. Mm-hmm. Lord, take this away. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to take it away. Mm-hmm. He just one day removes
Just
it.
removes it.
Just removes it. It has served its purpose. It is gone. It is just removed. And most of the time, it is just as with Jesus, it's done with no awareness.
Oh my goodness. Oh my, you just look up and it's gone.
You just look up and it's gone.
The man in the Bible said, he said, all I know is I was blind.
And now I see. And I don't know that it was a Tuesday night. I don't remember whether it was a Friday night.
Oh, my.
All I know is one day I was in darkness and the next I was in the light.
Yeah.
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 He just removed some things. Yeah.
Wow.
Everything is not taken. Because to think that it's taken indicates a struggle. It indicates a battle, indicates a fight. So when people think something is taken from them, they feel some kind of way.
Yep.
But when God just removes it,
Yeah.
it's two different connotations.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's no one associated with the removal.
Wow.
Taken, who took it from me? They started signing names. But removal, it's totally different.
The ministry of removal.
The ministry of removal. Yes. Yes.
I am enjoying this. In fact, I think I'm going to have to go back and replay Sunday's message, because this thing has touched me in a whole different way, and I feel myself growing. The more we talk about the word,
Yes.
like this, I feel it growing me and pulling me in the direction of that Christ-like servanthood that
Well,
she showed.
this is what, and saints of God, we pray that you are blessed by the Revamped. This is what the first church did in the book of Acts. The Bible said that they gathered together and they sat around.
That's good.
And they discussed the apostles'
Oh, man,
doctrine.
that's good.
That's what they did. They asked questions and they discussed. Nobody's expert, but we talk about the word of the Lord.
Yeah.
What God has shared,
Breaking
what God
bread.
is saying, how we apply it to our life. We're breaking bread together.
yeah.
And that's what the first church did.
Yeah, yeah. And so this is really important, saints of God, and I'm so glad that the Lord sort of inspired us to have this kind of dialogue, because I really feel that this is the part that's missing at home.
Yes.
And so even though we're the church family and we're doing this at home for you, we would like for you to take this same thing and break bread with your family.
That's right.
Your children. In
That's
fact,
right.
We're in the middle of a highway to heaven.
That's right.
And so as we break into small groups and we
Yes.
spend time with the Word of God, we're going to create these same types of experiences where we get
That's
to
right.
share in the Word and
That's
then
right.
we get to share in each other's burdens, because
That's
the Bible
exactly
tells us
right.
to share ye one another's
That's
burdens.
exactly right.
And so this is just so amazing. It's a great feeling to be able to have this conversation and this dialogue. And I know I'm blessed, Mother. Could you just encourage those that are again feeling like unlikely
Yes,
heroes?
yes.
Just encourage them based on the word that we're talking about
Yeah,
tonight.
Mary does so much to encourage us, and I'd be honored. Listen to me. Unlikely heroes. All of us qualify. All of us qualify. I would say to you a couple of things. One, don't let your past define you. Don't let your past define you. If you've been delivered from God, and the word salvation means delivery. To be saved means to be rescued. It means to be delivered from something to something. So if you can identify with that kind of deliverance, God brought me out of something. All of us been delivered from something. If you could put your finger on one thing, let that catapult you into a life of servanthood, a life of gratitude because of what God did. Where would you be if that thing had not been lifted off of you?
Oh, goodness. Wow.
And so in contemplation of that, God has set you free to grow. Be encouraged by Mary Magdalene. Her change led to her commitment. She was committed to him all the days of her life. And then don't be afraid to stand with someone in suffering. Don't be afraid of that. Don't run from that. The Bible says that Mary Magdalene wept that whole time. She wasn't doing a whole lot of talking. You don't have to talk. But the ministry of presence, saints of God, is very important, especially in times like these. Now recognize that we are practicing social distancing and all of that, and we're going to continue to do that. Please do that. But you can still be connected. You can still be present in someone's life. The ministry of presence is important. And so I would encourage you that you have a job to do because of the resurrection. When Jesus called Mary by name, it settled her grief. It settled. Isn't that something? That he calls you by name and causes all things to be still. And that's what he'll do for you, and that's what he'll do for me. I don't know the turmoil that may be in your heart today. I don't know that the grief. I know that we've got even families that are grieving. I know that we've got members who have been grief-stricken for quite a while. I know that. Sick in your body. Maybe things are not going well in your family units or whatever the case may be. Let me encourage you today. No matter who you are, he knows your name. He knows your name. The next time you hear Tasha sing that, take it from a different vein, not from just the lyric of a song that was written, but from the word of the Lord that was breathed. He knows your name. It's a fact. So be encouraged tonight, and then go tell somebody that he lives. Go tell somebody that you're going to be all right because he lives. Amen. Even in this treacherous situation that we're in right now, I'm encouraged, and my hope is in the resurrection. The resurrected Christ gives me hope. That means no matter what it looks like. Imagine what it must have looked like on Friday night. That's why Mary Magdalene was so upset. Imagine what she had to endure. She watched him die. So her whole life is shattered, but she doesn't run. She's last at the cross, first at the tomb. But then she gets to see how quickly grief can turn into gladness. And he calls her by name. Now I got hope. I'm so glad he called my name one day. And he's calling somebody's tonight. Will you answer? Will you answer when he calls your name? Be encouraged, saints, and listen and heed to the voice of the Lord. Amen.
Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear
is gone.
And now I know
who holds my future.
Life is worth living.
Because he lived.
Come on in here,
just
Bishop.
Because he lived. Life worth living. Not because you got a retirement fund. Not because you got. Life is worth the living. Just because he lives.
Maybe you feel like you're not living. Maybe you've heard the conversation tonight and you feel like there's been no movement. Bishop was talking about signs of life. And the first thing I thought of is the signs of life is movement.
That's right.
Maybe you feel like you've been stagnant.
Oh, wow, that's good.
And because there's no movement in your life. You can have life tonight.
Yes, you can.
want to encourage somebody tonight who's never accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. I want to encourage you that it is very simple. It is as simple as ABC. You would do this with us tonight. A, acknowledge that you're in need of a Savior.
That's right.
B, believe in Christ, that he was crucified, dead and buried. He got up with all power in his hand. And C, confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus Christ. The Bible says it clearly. Those that call on the name of the Lord
Shall be
saved. If you did that, you're saved, saints of God. I want you to do us a favor. Type in the comments, I just received Christ.
Thank you, Jesus.
A member of our intake team will reach out to you, pray with you, and encourage you along your Christian journey. We're so privileged to be able to walk you into the glory of God. Bishop, I have had an awesome time tonight.
So have I.
Talking about this word.
Praise
I
God.
have had an awesome time, and I can't wait to continue this conversation.
Yes.
Unlikely heroes.
Unlikely heroes.
Well, thanks to God, I am Pastor Renard Evans.
I am Bishop Julia McMillan, and we're out.